Every decision you make and every future you create. You don't schedule it. No one teaches it to you, yet you repeat it thousands of times every single day. Most people never become aware of it because it happens in complete silence. And that silence is exactly what makes it so powerful. Carl Jung believed that the greatest danger isn't the world around us, it's the parts of ourselves we never stop to observe. Think about it. Have you ever wondered why two people can face the same heartbreak, the same failure, or the same rejection, yet one becomes stronger while the other slowly falls apart? The difference isn't intelligence, talent, or luck. According to Jung, the answer lies in a habit so ordinary that almost everyone ignores it. This habit quietly determines whether pain becomes wisdom or suffering, whether fear becomes courage or anxiety, whether your past controls your future or your future finally frees you from your past. The strange part is that you've been practicing this habit for years without ever questioning it. It has shaped your confidence, influenced your relationships, and even decided opportunities you never had the courage to take. Yet because it feels familiar, your mind mistakes it for reality. Jung often reminded us that until we become conscious of what is happening within us, the unconscious will continue directing our lives while we call it fate. That means the life you're living today may not be controlled by circumstances at all. It may be controlled by a habit you have never truly noticed. And here's the paradox. The very habit capable of destroying your peace is also the habit that can completely heal your mind. The question is not whether you practice it. You already do. The real question is whether you're practicing it consciously or unconsciously. Because once you understand this one hidden habit, you'll begin to see that healing doesn't start with changing the world around you. It starts with changing the invisible world within you, and that is exactly where our journey begins. The conversation that never ends. Now, if this one habit is so powerful, why do most people never notice it? Because it doesn't happen in front of a mirror. It doesn't happen when you're talking to your friends. It happens in the quiet moments when no one else is around. It begins the instant something goes wrong. You make a mistake and a voice immediately says, "You always ruin everything." Someone ignores your message, and suddenly you hear, "You're not important to anyone." You fail once, and your mind whispers, "Maybe you're just not good enough." At first, these thoughts seem harmless. They feel like simple observations, but Carl Jung believed that repeated thoughts do not remain thoughts for long. They slowly become beliefs, and beliefs eventually become identity. This is why the way you speak to yourself matters more than the way anyone else speaks to you. The world can only hurt you for a moment, but your inner voice can continue hurting you for years. Every time you repeat the same negative story, your unconscious accepts it without asking whether it is true. It doesn't separate fact from emotion. It simply records whatever you repeatedly feed it. Over time, your mind begins searching for evidence to prove that story right. If you believe you're unworthy, you'll notice rejection more than acceptance. If you believe you're weak, you'll overlook every sign of your strength. Slowly, your reality begins to reflect the story you've been telling yourself. Jung warned that the unconscious doesn't control us through force. It controls us through repetition. What you repeat becomes familiar, and what becomes familiar eventually feels like the truth. That's why so many people spend years trying to change their lives without ever changing the conversation happening inside their own minds. They change jobs, relationships, cities, and routines, yet the same fears follow them everywhere because the voice creating those fears never changed. The greatest prison isn't built with walls. It's built with unconscious words repeated every single day. But here's the hopeful truth. If repetition can create suffering, repetition can also create healing. The moment you become aware of your inner dialogue, you stop being its prisoner and begin becoming its author. And perhaps for the first time in your life, you'll realize that the voice inside your head was never meant to be your enemy. It was waiting for you to finally take control of it. The shadow you keep feeding. Carl Jung believed that every human being carries a hidden side of the personality, known as the shadow. It is not evil, nor is it something to fear. It is simply the part of you that has been ignored, rejected, or buried beneath years of expectations. Every time you were told not to cry, not to be angry, not to fail, or not to express yourself, a small part of your authentic self was pushed into the unconscious. But the shadow never disappears. It waits patiently, influencing your thoughts, emotions, and behavior from behind the scenes. This is why you sometimes react more intensely than a situation deserves. A small criticism feels like a personal attack. A minor rejection feels unbearable. A simple mistake convinces you that you're a failure. These reactions are rarely about the present moment. They come from old wounds your shadow has been carrying for years. The problem is that most people respond by fighting these feelings. They try to suppress them, distract themselves, or pretend everything is fine. But Jung warned that whatever is pushed into the unconscious does not lose its power. In fact, it grows stronger. Every ignored emotion becomes another weight on the mind. Every denied fear silently waits for the next opportunity to return. Healing begins when you stop running from your shadow and become curious about it. Instead of asking, "Why am I feeling this?" ask, "What part of me is asking to be seen?" That single shift changes everything. You stop treating your emotions as enemies and begin treating them as messengers. Suddenly, anxiety is no longer just anxiety. It becomes a signal that something inside you needs attention. Fear is no longer weakness. It becomes an invitation to understand yourself more deeply. Sadness is no longer a flaw. It becomes proof that your heart is still capable of feeling. This is the habit Jung believed most people never develop. Observing the mind without immediately judging it. The moment you learn to witness your thoughts instead of becoming them, you create a space where healing can finally begin. Because the mind cannot heal while it is constantly at war with itself. It heals the moment awareness becomes stronger than unconscious reaction. And perhaps the greatest discovery of all is this: the parts of yourself you've spent years trying to hide may be the very parts capable of making you whole again. Stop fighting your mind. Most people believe healing means getting rid of negative thoughts. They wake up every morning determined to think positively. Ignore their fears and silence every painful emotion. For a few hours it seems to work. But then one unexpected moment, a memory, a mistake, a single sentence from someone else, and the same thoughts return even stronger than before. This endless battle leaves people exhausted, convincing them that something is wrong with them. But Carl Jung saw it differently. He believed the mind is not healed by force. It is healed through understanding. The more you fight your thoughts, the more energy you give them. It's like struggling in quicksand. The harder you fight, the deeper you sink. Imagine standing beside a river. Every thought is like water flowing past you. Most people jump into the river trying to stop the current with their hands. They chase one thought after another until they are completely overwhelmed. But Jung believed wisdom begins the moment you step onto the riverbank and simply observe. A thought is not a command. A feeling is not your identity. An emotion is not your destiny. They are experiences passing through your consciousness, not permanent definitions of who you are. This simple realization changes everything. Instead of saying, "I am anxious," you begin saying, "I notice anxiety." Instead of believing, "I am a failure," you ask, "Why is this thought appearing right now?" In that small shift, you reclaim your freedom. The unconscious loses its control because it can only dominate what remains unseen. The moment awareness enters, unconscious patterns begin to weaken. This is why healing isn't about becoming a different person. It's about seeing yourself clearly for the first time. Every uncomfortable thought becomes an opportunity to understand your inner world instead of another reason to criticize yourself. Jung believed that awareness itself is transformative. You don't have to win a battle against your mind, because the battle was never the answer. The real transformation begins when you stop treating your mind like an enemy that must be defeated, and start treating it like a teacher that has been trying to reveal something important all along. And perhaps the habit that heals your mind isn't controlling every thought that appears, but learning which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones are simply passing clouds in the sky of your consciousness. Stop fighting your mind. Most people believe healing means getting rid of negative thoughts. They wake up every morning determined to think positively. Ignore their fears and silence every painful emotion. For a few hours it seems to work. But then one unexpected moment, a memory, a mistake, a single sentence from someone else, and the same thoughts return even stronger than before. This endless battle leaves people exhausted, convincing them that something is wrong with them. But Carl Jung saw it differently. He believed the mind is not healed by force. It is healed through understanding. The more you fight your thoughts, the more energy you give them. It's like struggling in quicksand. The harder you fight, the deeper you sink. Imagine standing beside a river. Every thought is like water flowing past you. Most people jump into the river trying to stop the current with their hands. They chase one thought after another until they are completely overwhelmed. But Jung believed wisdom begins the moment you step onto the riverbank and simply observe. A thought is not a command. A feeling is not your identity. An emotion is not your destiny. They are experiences passing through your consciousness, not permanent definitions of who you are. This simple realization changes everything. Instead of saying, "I am anxious," you begin saying, "I notice anxiety." Instead of believing, "I am a failure," you ask, "Why is this thought appearing right now?" In that small shift, you reclaim your freedom. The unconscious loses its control because it can only dominate what remains unseen. The moment awareness enters, unconscious patterns begin to weaken. This is why healing isn't about becoming a different person. It's about seeing yourself clearly for the first time. Every uncomfortable thought becomes an opportunity to understand your inner world instead of another reason to criticize yourself. Jung believed that awareness itself is transformative. You don't have to win a battle against your mind, because the battle was never the answer. The real transformation begins when you stop treating your mind like an enemy that must be defeated and start treating it like a teacher that has been trying to reveal something important all along. And perhaps the habit that heals your mind isn't controlling every thought that appears, but learning which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones are simply passing clouds in the sky of your consciousness. The mirror of your inner world. One of Carl Jung's most profound insights was that the world outside you often reflects the world within you. The people you admire, the people you fear, and even the people who hurt you can become mirrors, revealing parts of yourself that have remained hidden. This doesn't mean that every painful experience is your fault. It means that every experience has something to teach you about your own mind. Think about the moments that affect you the most. Why does one person's criticism stay in your mind for weeks while another person's words mean nothing? Why does someone else's success inspire one person but fill another with jealousy? The event is the same, yet the reaction is completely different. Jung believed the answer lies within the unconscious. We don't react to reality alone. We react to what reality awakens inside us. Every emotional trigger points toward an unfinished part of ourselves, a belief that has never been questioned, or a wound that has never truly healed. Most people spend years trying to change the mirror instead of understanding the reflection. They blame their circumstances, wait for others to apologize, or hope that a different environment will finally bring them peace. But wherever they go, the same emotional patterns quietly follow, because the source of their suffering was never outside them in the first place. This is why the habit that heals your mind is not judging every emotion that appears, but becoming curious about it. The next time anger rises, don't immediately ask, "Who made me angry?" Instead ask, "What is this anger revealing about me?" When fear appears, don't ask, "How do I escape this feeling?" Ask, "Why does this situation have so much power over me?" These questions may seem simple, but they shift your attention from blaming the world to understanding yourself. And in that moment, something extraordinary happens. You stop living as a victim of your emotions and begin becoming a student of your own mind. Jung believed that every difficult emotion carries a hidden message, but only those willing to listen can receive it. The mind does not heal by avoiding discomfort. It heals by discovering the wisdom hidden beneath it. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: every person, every challenge, and every painful moment that enters your life has the potential to become a mirror. Not to show you what's wrong with the world, but to reveal what is still waiting to be healed within you. The habit that rewrites your reality. By now you may be wondering, if awareness is the beginning of healing, what should I actually do? Carl Jung's answer was surprisingly simple, yet incredibly difficult. Observe yourself before you try to change yourself. Most people spend their lives trying to fix their emotions, but very few spend time understanding them. The moment sadness appears, they distract themselves. The moment fear arises, they run from it. The moment anxiety takes over, they search for anything that will make it disappear. But every emotion you avoid leaves a lesson unlearned, and every lesson left unlearned returns in a different form. Jung believed that the unconscious is patient. It doesn't punish you, it repeats itself until you finally pay attention. This is why the same fears, the same relationship patterns, and the same inner struggles seem to follow people throughout their lives. They believe life keeps testing them, when in reality, life keeps offering the same lesson from different angles. The habit that heals your mind is not avoiding these moments, but meeting them with awareness. Imagine sitting quietly for just a few minutes each day, watching your thoughts as though you were watching clouds move across the sky. You don't chase them. You don't fight them. You simply notice them. At first, your mind may feel noisy and restless. Old memories will appear. Self-criticism will speak. Doubts will try to convince you to stop. But if you remain present, something remarkable begins to happen. You realize that thoughts come and go, but the awareness observing them remains calm and unchanged. That awareness is the part of you that has never been broken, never been damaged, and never needed healing. It has simply been buried beneath years of unconscious thinking. Jung believed this quiet observer is the doorway to transformation. The more often you return to it, the weaker your old patterns become. Slowly, your reactions become responses. Fear loses its authority. Self-doubt begins to fade. And the voice that once controlled your life becomes just another sound, passing through your mind. This is why healing is not a destination you suddenly reach one day. It is a habit you practice every single day. A habit of noticing instead of judging, understanding instead of resisting, and becoming conscious instead of remaining asleep. Because the life you desire doesn't begin the moment the world changes, it begins the moment your relationship with your own mind changes. Becoming the person you were meant to be. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that waiting for the perfect circumstances is another form of hiding. We tell ourselves that we'll become confident after we succeed, peaceful after life becomes easier, or happy after everything finally falls into place. But Carl Jung believed the opposite. He believed that your outer life can only change after your inner world begins to transform. The greatest prison is not the world around you, it is the identity you have unconsciously accepted. Every time you say, "This is just who I am," you reinforce an old story that may no longer be true. The mind clings to familiar patterns because they feel safe, even when they create suffering. Yet growth begins the moment you question the story you've been telling yourself. Jung often spoke of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming your authentic self rather than the version shaped by fear, expectations, or the approval of others. This journey isn't about becoming someone new. It's about removing everything that isn't truly you. Layer by layer, mask by mask, you uncover the person who has been there all along. This path is rarely comfortable. There will be moments when you feel uncertain, misunderstood, or alone. But those moments are not signs that you're lost. They're signs that you're leaving behind an identity that no longer serves you. Every challenge becomes an invitation to grow. Every setback becomes an opportunity to discover strength you didn't know you possessed. True freedom isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to move forward even while fear is present. It's choosing awareness over autopilot, courage over comfort, and truth over illusion. The more you live consciously, the less control your past has over your future. Perhaps the person you're searching for isn't waiting somewhere ahead of you. Perhaps they've been quietly waiting beneath years of doubt, fear, and conditioning, hoping that one day you'll finally look within instead of without. So the next time life feels uncertain, remember this. Your greatest transformation will never come from changing the world around you. It will come from understanding the world within you. Because when you change your mind, you don't just change your thoughts, you change your reality. And that is where your true journey begins.